Hello guys, welcome back to another tech creator video, and today we're not like trying to do something crazy, but it is just a simple upgrade and build of my HTPC at home. So basically this is my current HTPC, which is using the Cooler Master Q300P. It's a fancy little case. I like it a lot. I've been using it for 2 years, but I think it's about time for me to change it a little bit. So I got myself a Phanteks P300 case with the tempered glass. So this video will be about how we migrate all the system from this one to this one. Let's get into it.
So I think it's best we just put this aside for now because we will need it later. So now let's just open this thing and see what's inside, and I want to know what's so fancy about this new case that you got.
So the Phanteks Eclipse P300 is a relatively affordable case. Somewhere around,
I think it's about 215, which makes this a very affordable case, especially if you just want to build. What motherboard does this support again?
It supports ATX motherboard.
So the full name of this case is the Phanteks Eclipse P300, and it also has this air mesh filter at the front here, which makes it high in terms of airflow, of course compared to this case here. And you also get tempered glass side panel, which is, I guess, a nice addition at this point.
At the top, you also get a filter, magnet filter that you can probably you can mount a 140mm fans over here, but I don't really think there's a need for that. And looking at the bottom, of course you have a removable power supply fan filter as well. This is a good one because some of them they had actually those cheaper ones which you have to
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, don't because this one is you can just put it down and then slide it in. And as for the I/O,
at the front I/O you got a big power button at the center here, which is very clicky. And then you also have a big reset switch, so you can press it with your fingertips. Anyway, you got another activity LED light here, double USB 3.0 Type A ports, a dedicated microphone, and then another headphone port, which is just nice.
Yeah,
I do wish to see a Type C port here though.
But for the price you're paying for the case, I guess
that's okay.
I mean, that's okay because I don't think we have that many of that kind of accessories that has a Type C to connect. Of course your phone is, but the other side of the cable is usually Type A.
And another side note here, since we're talking about cables, you can get USB Type A to Type C cables from Ugreen, USB 3.0 at a relatively low price.
Okay, so let's start off with the tempered glass panel. As you can see, the bottom of the power supply shroud is actually another piece of metal which you can't remove it, but the top part you can remove it. Is a kind of reasonably thick tempered glass. You can see so.
Definitely more than 3mm, which is a good sign because I did see a lot of cheaper cases with 3mm tempered glass panels that just shatters. Okay, looking at the internals, let's start off from the front first.
Let's start from the front over here. Pretty basic motherboard overlay over here, and there's
oh, this is like some other cases we've seen, the NZXT, I don't know what's that name, with this kind of recessed cable management routes here.
Yes. And
you can also mount another, is it 140mm at the back?
It is a 120mm.
Okay.
It's 120mm.
Okay. So we can also mount another 120mm at the back, and then we have a large CPU cutout here, so if you want to change your cooler without removing a motherboard, you can. And we have quite a lot of cable management routes overall.
Yes.
It's just that there's no rubber grommets, so do keep that in mind. And
true. And as for the fans, we can actually observe that this case only comes with one single 120mm fan.
Yeah.
And of course you have to look for extra fans for the intake. Well, you take two 140mm or two 120mm fans, so I think that is a pretty sufficient to say for that.
One question, can you mount an AIO cooler at the front?
Yes, you can. You can mount, but just that you have to take note of the length of your GPU over here, because let's just say you are trying to mount a push-pull configuration. That is like, it takes up quite a little bit of thickness right until here already.
So you need to keep that in mind.
You have to keep that in mind. But for budget builds, I don't think you will get a very long GPU for that.
Yeah.
And
I think you can also mount another AIO cooler at the top, but then you might get some trouble with the VRM heatsink because it's not really that wide. So yeah.
Then of course, I think there's quite a little bit of waste of space over here. There's no mounting.
Yeah, for especially those SSDs, 2.5-inch drives and whatnot.
SSD and stuff like that. And of course, speaking of the drive mounting points, they are all located at the back over here. They actually just provided you this single 2.5-inch drive caddy, something like that. And then there's a rubber grommets about on the screws, so you can just like slide it in. I don't see the reason you need anti-vibration for your SSDs.
Yeah, these are those for 2.5-inch hard drives, but for a desktop especially, I think it's better off if you are going to use a 3.5-inch hard disk for your desktop instead. So to access the 3.5-inch hard drive bay, you have two of them actually. You need to remove the front panel, which I think it's gonna be real straightforward like any other cases. Yep, it is. Oh, they're using ball joints. So if you accidentally, like what I did just now, you take out one side and then you pivot it around like a window, it still won't break the pins. So it will just slowly pop out. That's a nice feature.
And let's just see what kind of accessories we have. Because just now, we only got like one of these for the 2.5-inch. I wonder if they provide the second one.
Oh no!
So unfortunately, you have two mounting positions, or should I say three mounting positions.
Can you mount it in between?
In between, can we do that? No, I mean you can't do that, but there's only one caddy for 2.5-inch. Then
yeah, the accessories is pretty basic. You get user manual, an attention card here for RMA purposes, and then a pack of screws and a few cable ties. That's it. But with that said, in terms of cable management, they did include this kind of Velcro that is pre-installed, so they already recommended you which route to take if your cables allow it. So nice feature right there.
Well, one thing I just don't really understand is that I know you don't really take out your hard drive that often, and then removing the front panel to access your hard drive, it's kind of hassle, but
yeah, but it's a one-time thing.
It's a one-time thing.
And it's kind of unconventional compared to other brands of cases which does the 3.5-inch hard disk bay to be accessible from the rear panel instead.
On top of that, you also have to remember your power supply will be here. And that means less space at this side to put cables. And you probably have to like store all of them at this part of it. So yeah, something we'll have to verify it when we remove some of the components over there, because the power supply, that power supply I have there is a non-modular. That means I have a bunch of cables, basically
stuck in there.
Okay. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so I think that's all about the case. Shall we proceed?
Let's just proceed with the
migration.
So after like 30 minutes of
About
migration, So first thing first.
No sound one.
Oh, there's another layer inside. Nonetheless, first of all, we have to talk about a little bit of the migration experience we had. Okay, first thing first is the hard disk, 3.5-inch hard disk cage itself. You are forced to install the connectors right in front of it. So you have two of the 3.5-inch drives. You might face some of the cable routing difficulties, especially when your PSU doesn't have those kind of slim cables, ribbon cables, things like that. So something to take note of. But if you are just like in our case, we only have one hard disk, it doesn't matter. I can use the other drive bay as cable routing, so it works fine.
Yeah, another thing to take note of is your SATA cable. So the 2.5-inch SSD at the back here, you will have to use a straight jack. But for that hard disk at the front, you will have to use a 90-degree jack because there's just not enough space.
Well, the thing is that, yeah, like just now we have a problem for the 2.5-inch SSD drive. Then we have to like scramble around to look for a straight
especially
SATA.
this one.
So the angle one will not work for the back install one. But nowadays, M.2 SSD has been very easy, affordable. So I guess, I don't think that will be a problem. You just get a 512 GB SSD and that's it.
Yeah, it's still weird that they only give one mounting plate for the 2.5-inch.
Yes.
But then there's two mounting points, so I'm not sure what happened there. But then again, M.2 SSD is very accessible now. And fans.
And of course, for the fans, we only got one at the back here. Of course, I can try to like salvage some of those old fans from my previous case, but because they are so old and they're not that efficient at all, dusty, the RGB has like faded as well. So I might as well like just throw them away and get a new one. But one thing for sure is that the top fan mount over here, I still thinking that it is not relevant because literally you don't have much of the space. You can only mount, let's say it's just one fan, but I don't think it's a valid reason to do an intake over here, because first thing first, you have a filter over here. That means you're trying to use this as an intake. But then intake and output exhaust over here,
it's kind of direct.
Maybe you just need it for your CPU cooling, but I'm not too sure. I'm still strongly suggest you put two intake fans at the front and then push the air and exhaust at the back. That's the most conventional way.
Yeah, and then another point that I want to make here is the cable management. Surprisingly good, even though they are quite weird, and this is my first time building in a Phanteks case actually. Cable routes, like I mentioned earlier, it is recessed from the front part and also the motherboard tray, so you can have a lot of routing points, especially the part you can see here. We just plug it in, all the cables around this area, and this Velcro straps around this back here is magnificent.
It's useful. Consider you're paying like 200 ringgit for the case. I would say it is a decent one, nice feature, because I thought we need to use the
zip tie.
Well, what is this again?
Definitely not tweezers.
Not tweezers, it's zip ties. I thought I want to use it. Of course, we can actually like tie up some of those excess cables for that. But fortunately, all the Velcro ties is good enough for us to secure the cables. So I guess that's...
But one thing you have to take note is if you want to take out an existing cable that's already wrapped around the Velcro, don't release the whole thing because you have a hard time looping it back in.
Yep.
Yeah, but luckily the Velcro Velcro strip is long enough and to give you enough slack to release some cables.
And most importantly, those front I/O cables, they have pre-routed to the appropriate lengths and things like that. So we just like slightly adjust of them and then we can like get them connected to the motherboard. So yeah.
So we did put an M-ATX motherboard in this ATX case. So the routing cable is definitely not optimum, but it works, and you can see here that the result is still, I would say, very nice. One last point that I want to make is, of course, the part that we mentioned earlier, the gap between the power supply and also the hard drive cage at this part here. Surprisingly, it's very spacious, and since the hard drive mounting points, the cable connection points are at the front, it won't obstruct anything here. So if you have any extra cables, you can fit it in, just stuff it in. There's no problems at all. And if you have more extra cables, stuff it in this area as well.
Yeah, so, actually I take back my doubts before this because I thought that you won't have enough space. But luckily, because of that I should say it's an L shape of clearance over there.
L shape clearance.
I can like tie up a bunch of the cables and then stuff it at the back, and then another bunch like straight up stuff it right over here.
Yeah.
So things turn out pretty alright, and we don't have to like find ways to like stuff it at the back of the motherboard tray. Which is why you can
see it is very clean. And do keep in mind that this whole build, the entire cable management, we did like what, 2 minutes?
Well, actually, I won't say 2 minutes, like just 5 minutes. Yeah, just finding place to like.
Yeah, we just find the appropriate length, route it through, plug it in, and then we didn't do anything else. And the amazing thing is, this case cost 215 ringgit. I think it's a very good deal, especially since the build quality is magnificent. You do get a tempered glass side panel.
Yeah.
Numerous fan mount points. I still don't think what's the use of the top one, but it's there if you want to use it.
For me, I'll probably just get another 2 fans to mount at the front, and then the build will be finished. So yeah, I think that will be all for our build of my HTPC using the Phanteks Eclipse P300 case. So that's it for our video. Do leave your comment down in the comment section below. Ask us any questions about this case. We'll try to answer every one of them. And
yeah, give me some pictures of your HTPC with this case in it.
Yeah, of course, I'll take a picture of B-rolls of this when I put it back at my living room. Yeah, so yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.